Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 38-year-old Washington state resident Jeremy Grace traveled to D.C. with his father, Jeffrey Grace, and also a Proud Boys member who was friends with his dad. On January 6th, prosecutors say that neither Grace nor his father actually attended Donald Trump's rally at the Ellipse. They instead walked to the Capitol with the Proud Boys, and Grace was seen and heard on video chanting with the Proud bigots, yelling, quote, "Whose streets? Our streets." But when Grace was interviewed by the FBI, he claimed that he never entered the Capitol and that he only made it as far as the, quote, roundabout thing, which I assume is Peace Circle. In fact, the FBI interviewed Grace on two separate occasions, and on both occasions, he lied. During an interview, this was in person. So the first one was done by the phone. The second was in person. On February 25th of last year, agents showed Grace photos of him and his father at the Capitol on Capitol grounds, and Grace denied that it was him. And then he said, "Oh, I don't recognize that other guy." So he claimed to not recognize his own father. But video evidence clearly shows him and his father within the restricted area of the Capitol grounds. And it shows both of them entering and inside the Capitol. And Grace was seen and heard on video inside the Capitol saying, quote, "Just made it into the Capitol here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah." He was also seen and heard chanting, quote, "Our house," along with others. And they were both present when the Proud Boys instigated the violence that led to the first breach of the Capitol grounds at that Peace Circle monument. And following the Capitol attack, Grace and his father started a business. They started selling merchandise, promoting January 6th. So the prosecutor said that they started selling various items with phrases like "our house" and "back the blue" on them. Something that the prosecutor said to the judge, quote, "shows a complete lack of appreciation for what his conduct was and what it did." So Grace was arrested on May 26th of last year. He was charged with the standard misdemeanors: entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and 1 count of parading in a Capitol. On April 8th of this year, Grace pleaded guilty to the entering a restricted building charge, and he was looking at up to 1 year in prison, up to 1 year of probation, and up to $100,000 in fines. However, the prosecutor again choked. They requested only 60 days in jail, 1 year of probation, and 60 hours of community service. As typical, Grace's attorney asked for probation only. And then at the sentencing hearing, the prosecutor argued that Grace deserved some jail time because of his lies, because he lied to federal agents twice. And also they said that he destroyed evidence. So it was explained to the judge that he deleted the photos and videos of himself and his father at the Capitol. But Grace's attorney tried to convince the judge that her client only deleted that evidence because he was ashamed. She said, quote, "Mr. Grace was not happy with what he had done. I think that's behind his deletion of photos and statements to the FBI. This was not something Mr. Grace was proud of." U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss presided over this case, and he clearly was not buying it. Judge Moss told Grace's attorney, quote, "It sounds like he was trying to avoid getting in trouble." Then Grace's attorney tried to excuse this guy's chants of our house, saying that the phrase had taken on a different meaning since the Capitol attack. Whatever that means. Again, the judge threw the bullshit flag. He told her, quote, "It wasn't just an empty phrase or a description of democracy. It was a political statement that those who are unhappy with the election results are going to take the Capitol." As for Grace, he didn't even try to feign remorse. I mean, I guess I have to give him credit for not trying to BS the judge. At the hearing, he didn't even offer to speak. In fact, Judge Moss had to ask him, "Do you have anything to say?" And that was the only time he spoke. He said, quote, "I take responsibility for my actions that day. And yeah, I never meant to hurt my family or business. And yeah, I don't have a lot to say right now, Your Honor." So again, me, my family, my business, not a word about the people who died, the people who were injured, or everyone in the building who was terrorized by their domestic terrorist actions. Nothing about them. You know, selfish is as selfish does. And Judge Moss wasn't impressed, as I'm not. So before issuing his sentence, he said, quote, "The fact that Mr. Grace was involved in chanting our house is, I think, evidence that his purpose in being there was to take control of the Capitol." Then Moss also said that he was, quote, "not at all convinced that Grace was remorseful." And the judge stated, quote, "I have not really seen evidence from him that he really regrets what happened to our country that day during those events." And then he noted that Grace lied to the FBI, not once, but twice. So in the end, he sentenced Grace to 21 days in jail, 1 year of probation, and 60 hours of community service. And then Grace was also ordered to pay a $500 restitution fee. So, you know, I wasn't completely happy with this sentence, obviously, but it's better than most of what these nonviolent offenders are getting. I really think the judge should have, at the very least, granted the prosecutor's wish for 3 months. And there should have been a fine as well. You know, and because he showed no remorse, I think it was vital for the judge to place this guy on a probation through the next presidential election, not this short-term BS. I'm sure this isn't the last that we've seen of this guy, Mr. Grace. And if you were wondering, his father hasn't been sentenced yet, so I'll let you know when that case settles out. But yeah, I wish that these judges, you know, with the prosecutors are so weak themselves in what they're asking for, and the judges can't even give them that. They can't give them the bare minimum. Once again, you know, we're seeing that the female judges are the toughest, with the exception of Trump minion, Trump stooge, Dabney Friedrich. Takes a pair of ovaries, guys. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, I'll let you guys know when I hear more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.